Game on.
Hey Game Gurus, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take another look at the Dragon's Lair from iiRcade, but this time we're going to put in a gate switcher, the GRS TOS Gate Switcher in this unit, but without having to cut or modify the machine. Let's have a look at how this is done. Okay, here I have the iiRcade Gold Dragon's Lair control panel taken out, which is not easy to work with because you don't have the motherboard installed under here anymore. You just have this small flex cable here that goes back to the machine. Everything else is kind of exposed, making it much easier to modify the board. I still find it very hard to get off these gates. You have to be very careful. The four little pins that hold it on, don't want to give these guys up without a fight. But just take your time. It probably took me a good 20 minutes, believe it or not. I was able to get these out, and the last one just wouldn't come out. But again, just be careful, take your time, don't get frustrated. You don't want to break anything, but I was able to get this gate off. So here is the new Sanwa GRS TOS Gate Switcher with a higher torque but smaller servo, and you can see side to side there are differences. It's not a lot, but this one here will not let you close the control panel, as Papa Brad was able to find out on his channel. When he put this in, he actually had to cut holes in his machine. We don't want you to do that. So the new one here just fits. It looks like perfectly. So we're going to basically do it right now and put it in there. So this one's too big. The new ones will be releasing for the Sanwa clones will be the smaller, higher torque servo here, which is actually a better servo to be able to get. And you see it does give you some height advantage where you don't want the height. So I'm going to put this one aside for a moment. And now in the original iiRcade, I took the player 1 and player 2. I made player 1 my 4-8 modes, and I made this my player 1, player 2 start. I think in this one, I may change in my other one as well. Since these are used a lot more, I think, than the volume controls, I'm going to make this here my volume up, volume down, by putting my buttons up and down. So volume up, volume down. And this will be 4 and 8 on these two here, and leave these buttons the same. Again, it's your own personal preference, whatever buttons you want to do, but again, the whole point is here is not to cut or do anything to your machine, but get additional functionality. So once you have this upside down, you have your switcher here. I'm going to unplug it for a second, like so. And right now it is set to, it looks like it is set to the 8-way. And we're just going to just take it and literally just clip it in place. I put it with the wire facing this way. You can do kind of whatever you want, but that's how I'm doing it. And just press it in place. That's it. That's done. That'll hold everything in place just like before. And it uses less headroom here, which will make it easier to use in your machine. So the next thing I'm going to need to do is basically take out my volume up and volume down buttons here. And again, I'm going to make this my high-low volume here. And I'm going to make this my 4 and 8-way. So I'll have one going up and down, one going left and right. And I've always found as well that these guys are a little bit hard to get off, which are good. You don't want cables to slide off too easily. But I found these guys also to be a little bit hard to get off. See if I can get it a little easier this time. Actually, that one came off nice and easy, so that's kind of good. But sometimes they just fight you. All right, so let's see if this one comes off here. Oh, okay, so the grounding wires came off okay, which is fine, but we need to get the other wires off as well. So the white here is going to be my my volume down, and this will be my volume up. So I'm going to have to get a pair of pliers and carefully pry these guys off, so I'll be right back. Okay, I was able to get the wires off, so the next thing to do is to push out these two buttons. They're not going to be needed anymore, and that's fairly easy. Just press up on them a little bit, give them a couple of presses, and they should go right out. There's one. There's 2. So next thing we're going to do is start putting in our buttons. Now in the volume up, I'm going to put this in this orientation for volume up and volume down, and then the other one I'll make it 4 and 8. So we're just going to open this little guy up. Like so. And we're going to push it in. Get this little guy out of the way. And we're going to screw that in place. Oops. Gotta get the ring to stay on, of course. Of course, you'll probably be able to do this a little bit easier. I'm working all these weird angles to make sure you guys can kind of see what's going on here. I'm just going to turn this over for a second just to make sure we have it the way we want it. And then tighten it in place. Like so. Volume up, volume down. Now take my other one and do left and right. Ah. Okay, so we have our volume up, volume down, 4 and 8 way. So the next thing we're going to do is connect our main cable here, and this cable will be going to the GRS TOS control board to control the servos. Now I've only got the one prototype here. When I get my another one, I'll put it in this one. But for right now, it's just going to be for the one controller. So we're just going to open this guy up as best we can. Of course, we can cable management later. I'm not going to do that right now. Put this in place. Press it in. There we go. And again, the GRS. Okay, once again, the GRS TOS board can control up to 4 devices at once. But of course, we're going to do one, and it can go into any one of the boards. I'm just going to put it into A just because, well, why not? There we go. Then we take our servo, and that'll go here. The ground will go over to the brown wire, like so. So that's really it, and it's just where you want to mount the actual unit. But I'm going to put that aside for a moment. Now, the next thing I need to do is connect this button here to the wires over here initially. Now this right now is going to be a little jury-rigged because I don't have anything here right now. I've already talked to my team. We'll make the proper cable so you can just connect it right on to the connectors right there. But for right now, it is going to be a little bit jury-rigged, but that is okay. This part here, the longer by itself, will go to the board just to supply power for the LEDs. It doesn't do anything else other than that. And then we're going to take this cable here, and this cable will go into our switch. So I'm going to put that in here. Again, try to get this in here as nice as I can. We have that in place. Now here's where I had to make it a little jury-rigged because we have standard little connectors here, standard JTS connectors, where we're using, you know, quick connects over here. If I can get one out, give me a quick connect. Right there. So what I simply did was I simply took a female JTS and I just took a paper clip and I cut the paper clip, soldered it on, and these will push in and lock in place. Again, it's not the right solution, it's just to show you this thing works. So we're going to, you know, try and neaten this up a little bit. This was the volume down wire. And then we have our ground wires here. We'll try and straighten this up slightly. There's a ground wire here. That's my volume down. My other ground wire. And a volume up. So since I'm not quite sure which button will go to where, it might be backwards initially, but I can just swap the wires and it'll be fine. So what we're going to do is take this, and I'm going to plug in what I hope to be the right ground wire into here. Just going to slide it in, and when it slides in, it'll make some friction with the wire, like so. And that's not going to go anywhere. I'm going to push the rubber boot back on as best I can. And again, just for testing purposes, this should be okay. I'm going to do the same thing with the other wire. And it actually feels pretty taut. And then we would connect it to one of these wires here. Again, these might be backwards, and I'm not sure yet. I'll find out when I power it on. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other two wires here. And actually, it gets pretty snug, so I don't think they'll come out. But again, this is not the right way to do it, but for prototyping, it's fine. There we go. And then we will connect our other wire here. So in theory, that's it. We supply 5 volts of power with the included cable to this little guy right here, and put everything back in, and we're going to give it a try. Okay, so here is the Gold Edition Dragon's Lair machine. Once again, we have the new, smaller, higher torque GRS TOS servo in the mechanism right here. We have the 2 controllers here. This is for the volume up and down, and I had it incorrect. I have to have my morning caffeine. The one with the 5 wires goes into your button. The one with the 3 wires actually goes into your control board. If it's backwards, it's not going to do anything. It's just not going to work. It's only supposed to be getting power for the LEDs, but all the wires are actually on this side. So I was wrong when I put it in before. And then we have our 4 8-way servo over here. The control board is down here. You probably want to mount it somewhere out of sight. Again, it's a lot easier with the Gold because it does now a case on the bottom. You have to take the case off and move the motherboard out of the way. And this machine, the motherboard's behind the monitor, so you have plenty of room to work here. And I simply made some quick connects and used some electrical tape. I really just used, again, just a couple of paper clips that I cut and soldered onto wires just to make it work for this case, but we will have a true plug-and-play kit for the iiRcade. And I've only got the 1 servo here, so I have the stock one over here. I only have the 1 prototype, smaller, higher torque servo here. But the main issue, which was shown in Brad's Gaming, that the original one was too big. You couldn't fully close the unit. It would sit maybe a 1/4 inch, so you'd have to drill holes into the wood down here to make it fit. But now with the smaller servo, it literally just makes it. So we're going to put it down here. And there we go. So what I need to do though is put the plexiglass back in, because I always forget to put the plexiglass back. Again, I've said this before, I'm not a fan with, you know, it being held in by the controllers, but it is what it is. So I have to pull this back a little bit. I got to put this thing back in place. Pull this out like this. Okay, still not a fan of that. We'll put the screws in the side here in 1 second. Where I put the screws? There are 2 screws right here, so I'm going to have to, again, lift this up a little bit. Put this in place. And we can, without putting any holes in the cabinet, put these screws back in and hold everything in place the way it's supposed to be. Get that screw started on this side. And this side, again, because you have to hold the controller to do all this. I just wish there was a... I may put some little L brackets under the screen to hold it in place. It's just one thing that really does bug me a little bit about the machine. So I'm going to get in front of the camera for a second. I'm going to screw this side in first. Have it screwed in. We're now screwing in this side over here as I knock the camera out of its spot. You see no holes needed to be drilled. Everything was done here fine. I'm going to double check the cabinet, and it does fit. There was probably a 1 or 2 piece of paper gap in here on this side, which again could be the servo holding out of place. But you can see in the previous machine I put the 2 buttons here, player 1, player 2. But I think I might like this more. I can raise the volume here and lower the volume here. Of course I could change this color to any other color I want. Right now it's red. I'll probably change the color of this in the future. You can see the volume does work. And here we have our 8-way mode. And now I'm in 4-way mode. 8-way. And when I turn this on, you can tell it to default in which mode. Since this is a game of mini games, I do default to the red 8-way mode. But of course, we can go over here in the 4-way mode. And again, there was no drilling needed. Everything was able to fit in place okay, without any drilling of any kind. That's it. There's not much more I can say about it. So we will make an iiRcade compatible kit with the GRS TOS Gate Switcher. Again, you would need 2 kits to get the 2 buttons. If you only have the one, you would have to drill a hole for the one 48 gate switcher, or have it dangling out the side or underneath. But if you do buy the 2 kits, which you probably want to do because you want both to be 4 or 8-way, you will get a secondary button. So you can do this with the volume, with this button right here. See the volume going up, the volume going down, and then your 4 and 8-way right there. So that's it for this video, guys. Just really something short and sweet. So that's it for this video. I just wanted to show you really quickly that the new smaller servo for the TOS GRS Gate Switcher will fit in your iiRcade. Stefan Burger did a wonderful job designing these gate switches for the SoundWalk controller joysticks, but the original servo was just a little too big to fit inside the iiRcade, but it looks like something we've been able to rectify relatively simply and giving you a better, higher torque servo going with it. When you buy the initial kit with the one servo and the main board, you get one of these buttons which lets you switch between the 8 and 4-way modes of the stick. Now I've been talking to Zhang and iiRcade about making things a little more automatic, and that may be something that comes in the future, no guarantees, but you can definitely switch the modes with this button. Now if you do only get the one joystick, you would have to probably drill a hole to put this in somewhere, or have it just dangling out the side, or put it underneath, or something like that to do it. But if you buy the expansion kit, which comes with a secondary servo, so you can have 2 joysticks switching between 4 and 8-way modes, you get a secondary button. So you have 2 buttons, one for 4 or 8-way for the 2 joysticks, one for either player 1 or player 2, which I did in my original iiRcade, but I think I actually like it better this way with the volume up and down. I can turn one 90 degrees so I know up is volume up and down is volume down, versus 2 separate buttons for volume up and volume down. And my other one for left and right for the 4 and 8-way gate switchers. So that's really it. I'm going to play a little game right here, right now, switching my modes, and I'll end the video with that. But if you did like the video, please like, subscribe, definitely tell your friends. Make sure you join the iiRcade fan pages, and of course, if you're interested in the machine, right now they have free shipping going in the iiRcade Gold Edition, so definitely take advantage of that. But remember, no matter what game you play, what system you play it on, remember to tell your family and friends that you love them, and best of all, game on. First things first, let's get the volume where we want it. I think that's about good. Let's try some burger time, and we're going to put that in 4-way mode, and let's start burger time. Ooh, might be too loud. Cole is still sleeping. This is one of those games you absolutely have to have 4-way directions. Oh, you guys stink. Okay, let's try an 8-way direction game. So we're going to press our menu button here. Go back, do some Donut Dodo. So we'll switch it to 8-way mode and hit some Donut Dodo. Ah. Now technically you could play this game in 4-direction mode, so we're going to do that. Now I'm locked into 4-way mode. You can change it anytime you want. Actually, it plays really well with 4-way lock. Oh. I guess like Donkey Kong, 4-way direction lock is actually better to make sure you go up and the ladder is the right way. Oh. Game on.
At the iiRcade fan page. Remember, don't admire people too much. They'll disappoint you.
Sit, Blue Blue, sit. Good dog.